So what we're going to talk about right now, I was going to talk about it next week, but I thought I could cover it pretty easily here. So we'll just do that here right now. What we're going to talk about are whether or not because you kind of need it for the premise, whether or not your film is a high concept or soft concept film. And we're going to talk a little bit about how to write log lines and taglines. And that's something you're going to do for your pitch materials, which we'll go over next week. But or possibly this Wednesday. I'm not sure which, but we're going to go over the pitch here. What you're going to need to pitch your your first movie idea, the one that you pick out of the two that you presented tomorrow or today. So so we're going to talk about the blah 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 blah. Whether your film is a high or soft concept film. So you want to have a high concept film because producers, that's what people in Hollywood are looking for. Films that are just that have ideas that are gonna grab you. A producer's gonna pass on your story or on your logline or on your treatment if you don't have a compelling concept and a high concept for your film. So it's just what's gonna get you in the door. And you really don't want a low concept film, because they're boring. They're very, very boring. Probably like me yakety-yakking here on this PowerPoint bit. So the 7 components of a high concept premise. So the first thing it needs is a high level of entertainment value. It's got to hold the audience's attention and spark their imagination. You got to give them something that's gonna keep their attention because American audiences have seen everything. So you got to keep them interested somehow, either through, the compelling emotional thing of your story, or the great cinematography, or the great action, or what your story has to say. So the second thing that it has to have is a high degree of originality. And most screenwriting people will agree that originality is about finding new ways to present the familiar, a twist on an old theme. So there was a Frankenstein movie back in the 90s where instead of Frankenstein running after the people were hunting down Frankenstein. So it's like instead of the monster hunting the people were hunting the monster. And so that was a twist on an old theme. It has to have a high level of uniqueness. So uniqueness is a one-of-a-kindness. It's the first time incomparable story. You've never seen it before. It's not like you've never seen it done that way before. You've never seen it before. Well, it could be done that way, but it's got to be completely new. I can't think of a unique story I've seen lately that I thought was just incredibly unique. But you know what I mean. It has to be highly visual. There has to be like the potential for great cinematic imagery that would reflect high production values, so that film's a visual medium, and if it's high concept, you want to be able to visualize the characters, and they have to be something that you want to, really develop the imagery of and the cinematic imagery of. It has to possess a clear emotional focus, an idea that sparks root emotions like love, strong emotions like love, hate, envy, joy, fear, rage. They possess mass audience appeal, so it has to cater to a wide demographic. I'm working on a documentary right now where it shows how the Lord heals and integrates people who have gender identity issues. So I've already got a lot of haters, even though I haven't even started putting the film together yet or shot a single interview. But that's not, I won't be catering to a wide demographic. Even though the issue is very popular right now, it's in everybody's face. Once I get this film made, I don't know how many people will actually come to see it, but I think it needs to be made because my motivation for making it is because there are so many people who have gender identity issues that are transvestite or homosexual or whatever, transgender. There's a huge, huge suicide rate among them. Like, I don't remember if it was. It's like 40% or something. It's horrible. So and the fact is the Lord can heal them. And so I actually have people I'm interviewing that have gone through the process that are different levels of healing with this, and that can testify to what the Lord can do. and they can, restore them back to their original, what their body tells them they are, and the core person that the Lord has made, and so it's just very. But what I'm saying is, it's not catering to a wide demographic. But in that instance, I don't care because it's not about the demographic; it's about helping people. So, but for a narrative film, you kind of want you want that mass appeal because you want to make money on it. You don't want to work for peanuts or work for yourself or work for the fun of it. But anyway, so a high concept of film is usually born from what if questions. So some really good ones were for Jurassic Park. The question was, what if dinosaurs were cloned? And then for the War of the Worlds, it was, what if Martians invaded the Earth? And you can think of a lot of what if questions, but if you want to do a high concept film, that is a really good place to start. Just start writing out some what if questions and see what you come up with. Kind of out there what if questions. Okay, so how do you determine if it's high or soft concept? We know what a high concept is. Stories are all high concept to some degree. It depends on how many of the 7 components they have. If they have none of the 7 components, you might as well not write anything. Nobody's going to watch it. Soft concept stories are those who have only a few high concept attributes to none. And the softer the story, the fewer the high concept attributes they will have. The lower the concept, the less interesting it will be to the audience. So in Jeff Lyne's book, he wrote some low concept ideas, which I thought were kind of, a good example of what a low concept idea is. So here's one. When a grandmother turns 100, the family organizes a family reunion and the entire family gets together for the first time to celebrate. Now, that's boring. Who cares? Now, if Tyler Perry did it, though, it would be funny. And he would bring all the characters in to that family reunion that would create a story just by their wackiness. So the premise, is boring. That premise is boring. But like I said, someone like Tyler Perry could bring just a boring, natural, family reunion story into something totally off the charts, goofy and funny. But generally, the lower the concept like that, the worse it is. Here's another one, low concept. When a man plays golf for the first time, he falls in love with the game and commits himself to a lifestyle of golf and recreation in order to master the sport. Boring. Really boring. So no, we're not going to do that one. Okay. And the next thing you have to do is develop a log line. So since the premise line is your story's core structure in 1 or 2 sentences, and in the case if you're doing the 4 clauses, you can do it in 4 sentences. The long line is your high concept premise. It's a hook stated in a single short sentence. So the log line should include the who, what, when, and why, and how of the thing. If you can do that in 1 sentence, the better you do it. The more you do it, the better. So the log line is your elevator pitch. Examples, Harry Potter, and I'm going to do Harry Potter, the Lion King, and the Pirates of the Caribbean. Now, the Pirates of the Caribbean is the best one that I see out of all these. If you don't know what an elevator pitch is, the elevator pitch is what they say. You go up 2 floors with somebody in the elevator, you've got to quickly give them the gist of your story. So that's what the log line is for. It's a hook. It's just like, this is the gist of my story. And usually, a lot of times, producers and stuff like that will read your log line. If it doesn't hook them, they pass on your script. They won't even read it. So it's pretty important because the premise line, like I said, is for you. The premise line that you write, you might write that up in your treatment. If someone actually reads the treatment, which they probably won't. But unless they've already got unless it's a television show. But so the log line is important. So example, so Harry Potter, and this one's kind of blah, but it can be this simple. A young boy discovers he's a wizard and goes off to wizard school. I guess because it's about wizards, it might pique people's interest. And it was something that wasn't really done before, so at the time, so maybe that seemed interesting. Then the Lion King, a lion cub and future King Simba searches for his identity. Okay, that's good. His eagerness to please others and a penchant for testing his boundaries sometimes gets him into trouble. So we see here a lion cub and his eagerness, blah blah blah, makes us think he's a cute little lion cub and he's going to get into some, some little skirmishes and stuff like that. And what's going to be a cute story, right? So, but I still think it's kind of a soft log line. Now, the Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl, this is a solid log line that tells you, it tells you who the protagonist is, what they want, who the antagonist is, and what their purpose is, and what they're going to do. So it tells you everything that you need. So the Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl, says blacksmith Will Turner teams up with eccentric pirate captain Jack Sparrow to save his love, the governor's daughter, from Jack's former pirate allies who are now undead. So now that makes it more interesting there because the antagonists are not dead, undead. And so, but I think that's a really good log line, and for a high concept story. So you guys can work on that. We're not going to go, into too much detail on the log line because we're going to talk about it later when we discuss pitch materials. So, and that's all I'm going to say about that right now. But just give you an idea what a log line is and what it looks like. Okay. So then you develop a tagline. Now, a tagline is a catchphrase or slogan, especially used in advertising or a punchline of a joke. So a tagline is even if the log line is a microcosm of the premise, a tagline is even more of a microcosm of the log line. So it's just a catchphrase used in advertising or marketing that will just quickly spark the interest of the people and think, hey, I'd like to see that, or hey, I want to read that script. So they like to say it's your flashy advertising copy that helps with the marketing pitch. It's a slogan that you put on your movie poster. And when you guys do your final pitch, you're going to do like a little movie poster. It's not going to be a big deal, but I'm going to want you to have a tagline on there to think that through for your thing. So I'm just showing these right now. So there's some good tagline examples from major movies. So from Alien from 1979, I don't know if you guys saw the first Alien with Sigourney Weaver, but the tagline was, "In space, no one can hear you scream." That was really good for a space horror movie. And then Shaun of the Dead 2004, a romantic comedy with zombies. That was a first back then. Ferris Bueller's Day Off, one man struggled to take it easy. That was pretty funny. For Finding Nemo, there are 3.7 trillion fish in the ocean, and they're looking for one. That was really good for finding. That's a really catchy one. And then for Superman, I think that was the first Superman in the late 80s, or late 70s even. You'll believe a man can fly. So that's a tagline. Those are taglines. So that is it for that, for the PowerPoint. So what we're going to do now is watch a movie, and you guys can look at it, and what we're going to do is after the movie, you're going to talk about what you think the core story is, and we're going to have it based on the premise line stuff and the film structure stuff. So I gave the premise line stuff and the film structure stuff to you for your homework, so you can look over that as we discuss this. But we're going to watch a film now. All right.